Thank you for joining me on the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, AZ. I find the research and resources and then provide the fire service with the so what, now what, to ensure the health and well-being of every member of our profession. Together, let's thrive. Hey everyone, it's AZ for another solo episode of the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. And just fair warning, I have a stacked group of guests coming up in the next few episodes. I just was at NSCA Tactical Annual and I booked a few guests to come on the podcast there. I have Sarah McGill, who is a Firefighter Combat Challenge competitor. She'll be here in Oklahoma City in the middle of September. And so she and I are going to have a conversation with one of her colleagues. And so you are going to be hearing from a lot more guests in the near future. But today, I wanted to talk to you about something called an exercise snack. And it sounds like food. It sounds like something you eat, but an exercise snack is not food. It's not a protein bar. It's not a supplement. An exercise snack is a short, very short burst of movement, and it's usually less than a couple of minutes. I mean, I don't even really consider a 15-minute walk an exercise snack. I consider that something a little bit different. But these exercise snacks are really short. They're less than a couple minutes, and we sprinkle them in throughout the day as we have time. And, usually the best exercise snack is anchored to something else. So, for example, pulling in the rig into the building. Before you do anything else, you might do your exercise snack. And right now you're probably thinking, lady, this all sounds really stupid, but it's really fascinating. Research is showing that these little exercise snacks can actually make a big difference definitely in health and potentially in performance. And so let's just define what an exercise snack is first. It is a brief bout, we'll call it a brief bout of vigorous or moderate activity. And so that's why I wouldn't really consider a 15-minute walk an exercise snack, because it's not that brief and it's also not really moderate or vigorous. For most people, it's pretty casual. So I'm not saying a 15-minute walk is bad. Please do not hear that. I'm just saying it doesn't really fit into this classification of exercise snacks. So you're thinking about 1 to 2 minutes of something like body weight squats or push-ups or something like that you can, again, anchor to something that already exists in your day. Because you can have really good intentions, like I'm going to do 10 exercise snacks today, but if it's not anchored to something, it's probably not going to get done. So although we need to maybe anchor it to something, it's not like a traditional workout where you kind of have to schedule it and you have to block out 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour, and you probably change into your gym clothes and you get your music and you might have a protein shake. It's a lot simpler. Again, it's just a couple of minutes of vigorous or moderate exercise. And so why I'm really big into the so what, now what? Like, why should firefighters care? Why is it important for them? What's the difference? When you think about firefighting, it's kind of, we're on call. And so it's unpredictable. And a lot of times that unpredictability can lead to us not getting the exercise that we need. And then coupled with the unpredictability, the nature of the beast in firefighting is that sometimes these shifts are long and they leave us with maybe not enough time, but maybe not enough energy for an entire structured workout. And again, please do not hear me as saying you don't need to do regular exercise. You only need to do exercise snacks. That's not what I'm saying. Regular structured exercise, I think we all need it. But we have to be honest, we don't always get it. And so these exercise snacks can help with that. And so the key with them is they're low barrier to entry and they're very time efficient. And so again, they can fit right into your firehouse routine. So maybe before everyone sits down for lunch, you or your crew does 90 seconds of it's a cycling of 5 squats and 5 push-ups for 90 seconds. And then you sit down and eat. That's an exercise snack. It's low barrier to entry. You didn't have to go get any equipment, and it took you 90 seconds. And the important thing, I love research. If you're new around here, you might not know that yet, but I really love research. And there's a couple of articles. I will put them in the show notes, but there's an article by Islam et al. Or Islam, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and from 2022. And that author said that even really little doses of physical activity can improve our cardiovascular health, boom, boom, our blood sugar control, and our fitness levels. And so in firefighters, cardiovascular health and blood sugar control is a huge battle that we're fighting. So these little tiny snacks, 1 to 2 minutes of exercise, can impact our cardiovascular health and our blood sugar control. Winning. We're winning here. So here's the science, and I will put these 2 articles in the show notes. They're both open access, so you're not going to have trouble getting them. But the first author I just spoke about, Islam or Islam, in 2022, determined that even short bouts of, say, vigorous stair climbing or cycling improved cardiometabolic markers like blood pressure and glucose regulation. And so I said you didn't need any equipment, and that is true. But in this study, they did use climbing of stairs and a bicycle. But imagine this. You can go out to your host tower and vigorously climb those stairs for 1 to 2 minutes. You didn't have to change out of your uniform, and you just created the potential for improving your cardiometabolic markers. Cool. Or if you have an Airdyne bike in the gym, hop on that sucker, 90 seconds, as hard as you can, or maybe not as hard as you can, as moderately as you can. 90 seconds, 2 minutes, go on with your day. But again, I'll repeat this again. I really think that these tasks need to be anchored to other things. So again, backing into the station, mealtime, getting ready for bed, doing the laundry. If you're doing the towels at work, you have to take the towels to the laundry. That's one trip. You have to come back and move them to the dryer. That's another trip. You have to come back again and take them out of the dryer and fold them and take them back to the wherever you store your towels. That's 3 trips. And so if you anchored an exercise snack to doing laundry, you just did 3 snacks right there. So the first author I talked about already. The second one is Jones et al. 2024. And this researcher, this was a review, and they looked at over 100 studies and found that consistently, even intermittent movement breaks reduce our sedentary time, makes sense, improves our fitness, and may even support mental health. Winning, winning, winning. And so when I think about this study, I consider the fact that if we're really looking at decreasing our sedentary time, maybe we need to anchor these exercise snacks to things that we know are sedentary. And so perhaps when you sit down for target solutions, set an alarm on your phone for every 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes when that alarm goes off, you're going to pause your target solutions. You're going to get up and do 1 lap around the station, run 1 lap around the station, or alternating lunges in place, walking lunges. You could even go into the gym and do something like 2 squats, grab the dumbbells, 2 overhead presses, back to 2 squats, whatever. It's not magic. It's just movement, breaking up these sedentary times. And this author Jones said these benefits show up even absent these long workout times. So again, hear me loud and clear. I'm not saying you don't need to do regular training that lasts somewhere between 30 and 90 minutes. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying these little exercise snacks can help improve your health, and it is a low barrier to entry. So if you aren't currently working out, super low barrier to entry. So here again, I'm the so what now? What? Tell me what to do, AZ. Here's some examples of firefighter exercise snacks that make sense. So if for example, you live in a 2-story fire station and there's an elevator Pretend that elevator is out of service. We are always taking the stairs. And instead of just going from the top to the bottom or vice versa, let's make it 5. Double time it up and down those stairs 5 times, and then go on with your day. During downtime, so whether that downtime is watching television, whether it's mealtime, whatever it is, hit a set of body weight squats or push-ups or Lordy mercy, I hate burpees. I just despise burpees, but even burpees hit, again, a 1 to 2 minutes of activity. It makes a difference. If you're in your gear, let's say you just got back from a call, you backed in the truck, you're still wearing your gear. How about you go grab the Rescue Randy and drag Rescue Randy around the length of the firehouse 2 times, 3 times, whatever it takes, before you then put him away, take off your gear, and go on with your day. If you are, say, at a standby, so you're at a high school football game, you're at a festival, you're at whatever, even like you're doing standby for a gas leak and you're parked away from the scene, hop out of the truck, and if you're at the scene, hop out of the truck, do a couple of quick laps around the truck, some push-ups, something like that. If you are at a football game, walk around the perimeter of the football field, the outside of the fence, before you come back and sit back down. Maybe do that at every quarter. Maybe do that every time someone scores. Just anchor that habit to something that's going to happen anyway. So, how much of this can actually make a difference? Within the research articles, it looks like as little as 3 to 6 bouts of this intermittent activity can improve health markers. That was in the Jones study. And so, man, if you anchored it even to eating, that's probably 3 times a day you're going to eat 3 exercise snacks that could improve your health. Again, these don't replace full workouts. I'm not saying you no longer have to do cardio because these exercise snacks are going to be enough. I'm not saying that, but it will help bridge the gap, especially on those days when your life gets in the way, when work gets in the way, where the civilians that are calling us a million, bazillion, gajillion times get in the way. It helps bridge the gap. And then you can also think of it as sort of that minimum effective dose. I can't even remember how many episodes ago, J. Dawes was on the podcast, and he talked about the works of Vladimir Isrin and how things such as maintaining strength or maintaining power, speed, things like that, there's a minimum effective dosage to maintain those qualities over time. And so maybe sprinting around the station 1 time as your exercise snack periodically is just enough to help you keep that speed/power that you wouldn't be addressing otherwise. So think of it as sort of minimum effective dose. You can also think of it this way. If you're already working out hard, you have a program, you've got muscle hypertrophy, muscle strength and power, you've got cardiovascular fitness, you've got mobility, you've got it all. You can think of these exercise snacks as increasing your NEAT or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And so to be fair, this is quote unquote exercise and NEAT is non-exercise. But if you just think about, I am increasing my output. Instead of sitting around for 3 hours, I broke up that sitting by 4 sets of 50 body weight squats. So beyond sort of that physical health, we have to remember that we spend a whole lot of time sitting. We're quite sedentary, and then we're asked to do these bursts of high intensity work, and we can use exercise snacks to sort of break that big change between being completely sedentary going to huge amounts of work. So I almost think of it as keeping the engine primed. So when you start the saw, you have to prime the saw before you can get it to start. It doesn't start all that well when it's completely cold. I don't know. I kind of think of it that way. I think it's a pretty good analogy. In the Jones study, that author even suggested that there would be some mental health benefits to these exercise snacks, such as better mood, less fatigue, improved focus. And so just that is pretty huge when you're working 24 to 48 to even longer shifts at the firehouse. So keeping this one short today, some takeaways. An exercise snack is just a short, intense bout of exercise that can be done without equipment if you need it to be. Again, if you've got access to a bike, if you've got access to some sort of weight training equipment, that could be an exercise snack as well. But it could be as simple as a fast run around the station, 5 sets of stairs, push-ups, body weight squats, walking lunges. It can be that simple. These snacks can help improve cardiovascular health, blood sugar regulation, overall fitness, and mood. And the beautiful thing is they can fit into your lifestyle a little bit better than being super, super rigid with those long blocks of training. So again, I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't do training on duty, but if you can't fit your 45-minute session on duty and you can fit 3 to 6 exercise snacks, I think you're still winning. And then as with anything, I always recommend people start small. So try to start doing this maybe 2 to 3 times a day before you jump in and try to do it 6 times per day. So less is something, and doing a few more exercise snacks is more. So less is something, more is more in this case. So bottom line, you don't necessarily need a whole hour in the gym to stay quote unquote fit for duty. These snacks make the most of the time and the minutes that you already have. And again, so important to anchor them to behaviors you're already doing. Here's another one. Every time you go fill up your water bottle on the apparatus floor, then you hit your body weight squats. Or you can even, one of the guests that I'm going to be interviewing in a couple weeks, he anchors, I guess you could call it an exercise snack, but it's kind of like PT movements to various things, such as filling up your water bottle or backing the rig in. So if he wants you to do a couple sets of snow angels, what he'll say is every time you back the rig in, go hit your set of snow angels. So in terms of these exercise snacks, find something to anchor it to. And the next time you're, say, standing around the kitchen table waiting for dinner to be served, not only should you be setting the table, you should be doing an exercise snack. So the choice to move, the choice to exercise snack, it's backed by research, and it can add up to benefits for your health and maybe potentially even on the fire ground. So in conclusion, if you would want to bring any sort of training to your department through Fire Rescue Wellness, email me. Let's hop on a call. Let's talk about it and see if it's logical. The papers that I referenced are going to be linked in the show notes, so you can read those yourself. And as always, I want you to stay safe and strong, and just don't forget to get your exercise snacks in. This has been AZ, and I'm out.